see this. This actually makes you recognise snakes in your own life. Like in answer to my last passage about like them, like this snake getting into every sector of society unofficially. They use witchcraft, they use technology because they've wheedled their way into every piece of information, or every sector of society, I should say. Like cloaking themselves, like the rest. But as I say, I see traits, and like I think it is very Cain like, that they are very, fleshy based, lazy minded, they're very rude, like they're always putting people down, and they kind of just hover around the show, they're very attracted to people with pizzazz and knowledge and stuff like that, and they'll absorb it, even if they have to use their own bodies to get that information, sexually or whatever. Like they're the most basic of like lower mindedness you can get. So you really need this, doesn't matter what translation it is. King James, they say, is quite a good one. Obviously, the thee and the thou version, the old one, is a bit hard to read. This one's like a Tyndale one, and the Good News one was one I started off with when I was a youngster. They do like a child illustrated Bible, which is good for people like myself with autism, that like a lot of pictures and, a lot of breakups in the lettering and things like that. So, like I want it, like all children, to read this, like to study all their schooling life, so they can recognise snakes. Once they've read it, they'll memorise it, and they will like go, this person don't seem right, because it gives loads of examples of what people are like, even like with like Jesus doing the thing with the money changers, like he went berserk, outside the temple where they was making money out of, like putting money before, the Holy Grail. He just told me. He drops things to me. So, like people like William Tyndale died, to bring the translation to us so we can have like a personal relationship with God. And this is why that God wants it, because all the finery and the like the outfits and things like that have got nothing to do with him, because Jesus went out to the fields, and just taught like amongst his people, in a very casual way, like didn't have like pulpits or anything fancy. Although like I still believe that churches are a good thing, because you need to like sit with your own community, but hopefully that community will be widespread. Like you don't need a church, you don't need the guilt, you just need a personal relationship, like, like an aerial to God, with this book, like there's like great things like Bible journaling, which I got into a few years ago, which I taught my daughter during homeschool, where you can kind of put tracing paper over the words and like do your own drawings and stuff like that, or like crayoning, like that actually like fire up like your imagination, like, and you can work it out with your own life as well. And I used to do like pictures separate, used to do like things like the ark and things like that, and like I used to do like cross-referencing between all the translations with my daughter, like just to see the language differences. Like one would say, like take a log out your own eye before taking the plank out of someone else's. And then I saw another translation this morning, a speck out your brother's eye. So, they kind of differ, but all mean the same thing. Like Bible journaling can be quite fun, like if that's like a way that you memorise it, even if it's 10 minutes with God a day. I've had periods where I haven't even been in touch with God for quite a long time, but I still believed, especially if you're in a despondent stage. So, but as I see, like it's like the once you've initiated with God, I don't think he lets you go, and that's not a totalitarian thing. I just think it's something that you memorise. So no matter how far you are or how near, like you kind of still stays with you. That's why it's important that children know about this, really, because it gives good armoury for the rest of their lives and know what to stay away from. And God says, it's not what goes into a person, it's what comes out, Jesus, like the one in the same. Like God doesn't stop you from having free will, like doing sinful things and that. He doesn't like you doing sinful things, but sometimes, you kind of have to be burned to come back to the truth. He never loses his path with you. He's always running with you, no matter how much you turn your back on him or how much you come to him. When a sinner comes back to him, he's getting emotional there. It's something to rejoice that they come back with the right answers. Stop it! Yeah, they come back with the right answers in the end, and that is a real sinner to embrace. So I'll get my wobbly voice off now, and okay, I'll leave you with that. Start reading it.